מוכנים? Are we ready? Here we go. Ready?
שלום, אהלן, אני פיטר, בטח, וזאת החברה שלנו ממש ממש טובה, קוראים לו קת'לין, אנחנו נוסעים לספר לכם הסיפור איך אנחנו נפגשנו עם אילן לפני 33 שנים. Wow, it's a long time. Okay, so without further ado, and I'm going to switch to English, כי העברית שלי זה לא טוב. Okay, so here we go. Kathleen, go ahead and start it.
All right. Hi, everybody. So Peter and I had known each other already for a number of years. By then, we had served together in Nicaragua during the war and doing human rights work beginning in the early 1980s. And so in 1989, Peter and I were traveling in Guatemala, heading back up toward the border with Mexico. We were going to be going into Mexico from Guatemala. And we were on one of those really crowded country buses. Lots and lots of people, kids, soldiers, live chickens, probably even goats or things like that. It was a very crowded bus.
Very crowded.
At one point, Peter kind of vanished because he had had a conversation with somebody that I wasn't part of.
So, we're heading all the way to Mexico, but we only had tickets as far as the last town in Guatemala, which was not on the border. So anyway, this guy makes eye contact with me and he says, "Tu vas a la frontera? Are you going to the border?" And I say, "Sí." And he says, "Tienes un quetzal?" And a quetzal is, it's like a peso. It's the money in Guatemala. Tienes un quetzal, which is less than a shekel, right? So I'm thinking, I only have a ticket that goes as far as Huehuetenango. But I'm going to have to add another quetzal, another 35 cents, to get all the way to the border. So he says, "Tienes un quetzal?" And I say, "Sí, gracias." I say, "Yes, thank you." And he's like, "What? Thank you. This guy needed a quetzal. This guy needed 35 cents to add to his ticket." And I said, "Yeah, I have one. Thank you." So anyhow, he must have gotten it from somebody because he wound up getting all the way to the border.
Where then we had to change buses because we were leaving Guatemala, going into Mexico. And on the Mexican side of the border, the bus was different. It was a nice bus. There was plenty of room. It was air conditioned. We had a seat together, the two of us, because we were traveling together.
Right. And so that same guy, he was sitting towards the back of the bus. There was hardly anybody on the bus. And it had been raining, but now it had stopped and the sun was setting. It was really nice going through the countryside of Mexico. So I go and I sit towards the back of the bus, and he's on the other side. And I notice that the sun, it's a really beautiful sunset, So I say to him, I say, "Hey, did you notice the sunset over here?" And he comes over and he goes, "Wow, that's really beautiful sunset." And then he says, "Hey, did you notice the rainbow on that side of the bus?" And so I go and look, and indeed, there was a beautiful rainbow out his window. So I said, "Wow, that's really beautiful." And so then we started talking, and turns out, our politics were pretty much the same, and we were both very involved and interested in dance and creative movement and art. So, it was a really nice conversation. So then...
Meanwhile, I am up in our seat, more toward the front of the bus, wondering what has happened to my traveling companion.
So I come back up to Kathleen and I say, "Hey," "he's really cute. Can we keep him?"
And we did.
Yeah, so we did. That was Ilan, of course. And we got to keep him for a long time. So I know this is really, really hard for all of us. This is really hard. And I do want to say that as much as Ilan, as we were living in California, he was really living in two places. He always had a foot, part of his heart was always back on the kibbutz, back in Israel, and he's so enjoyed these last years. He's so enjoyed, giving lectures and talks with folks and helping out with the pool this summer. It was just great, So I know that we've all been changed for the better by Ilan. Oh my gosh. And we will always treasure him. And may we keep his spirit alive in our hearts. Yeah.
Amen.
Okay. All right. So sending you a lot of love. Chibukim, neshikot, mucho cariño de aquí. Okay. Ciao.
Hola.